When starting out in a new domain, it's prudent to get some context into two basic questions. Why was it created and how does it work? In this video, we're going to look at why blockchain was created. To really grasp the circumstances around which the first blockchain was created, you have to understand the idea of money, what it is, why it has value, and also how we got to where we are today. This may seem like a deviation from our main topic, but trust me, this will all come together. However, if you would rather skip the history lesson, feel free to use the timestamps in the video to just jump ahead. Our journey begins around 10,000 years ago. There was no widely recognized form of payment for goods. Historians believe that the barter system may have been used. In this system, people exchange goods they have for what they lack. Let's say you have chickens and you need tools. You find someone who have tools and you exchange for some chickens. Well, this was simple. It only works if the other person wants your chickens. Trading was very limited, as you always have to find a suitable counterparty. Fast forward a few thousand years, people noticed that certain commodities such as seashells, salt and corn, or newly found metals such as copper, silver and gold are rare and always attractive. So they began quoting the value of their goods in terms of these rare and attractive items. This was an improvement over barter, but there are still some problems such as deterioration. Things like corn doesn't last forever, and indivisibility. Things like seashells, you can't subdivide them any further because half a seashell is just a broken seashell. And more importantly, bulkiness. Imagine going shopping with a cart full of salt. Needless to say, large trades were impractical. And while this was good first iteration of money in some form, we needed something better. Civilizations around the world progressed and people became accustomed to the idea of money. Coins were minted with different denominations, and an important thing to note here is that the value of the coin itself is decoupled from its size. So you don't have to carry these heavy lumps of metal, and this made the process of moving money around easier, and thus opening up possibilities for larger and quicker trades. As you can see, each step of this evolution is trying to solve a prevailing problem. Fast forward a few hundred years. Merchants and traders were looking for ways to do much bigger transactions without having to carry huge amounts of metal coins. Institutions began popping up issuing paper notes. These notes were backed by coins or gold of equal value. Anyone holding a note could approach these early versions of banks and exchange the note for its value in gold. Now, merchants could do much larger transactions with ease. Governments began to regulate this, formed central banks, and issued the first versions of the money we have today. The initial versions of paper money were mostly redeemable for an equal value of a rare physical commodity such as gold or silver, because that's where the money got their value from. Sometime later, for reasons either funding war or desire for rapid economic expansion, governments needed more money than the reserves they have in gold or silver. So they started taking their currencies off of the commodity backing, thus creating fiat money or the modern fiat currencies. Fiat money derives its value entirely from the faith or confidence in the government that issued it. This gives central banks greater control over the economy by regulating how much money is printed and also how it's distributed. This also creates an entirely new set of problems, such as inflation. Simply put, if you ever heard your grandma complain about how everything is so expensive now compared to when she was a kid, well, that's inflation for you. However, inflation may not be bad in itself, but when this happens over a very short period of time, we'll get into what's called a hyperinflation. Hyperinflation happens when governments print too much money in a very short span and money loses its value. In a hyperinflation, the prices can change so rapidly that they can literally double every few days or in some cases hours. This happened at least 13 times in the last century. Another widely contended issue is wealth redistribution. During periods of great uncertainty or crisis, governments print huge sums of money in an effort to stimulate the economy. As cool as it would be, this newly created wealth is not dropped from the sky. The governments decide how it's allocated, and it has often led to the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. Take for instance, during the 2008 financial crisis that started in the US, the government created huge sums of money to bail out the banks. Banks that took huge risks and caused the crisis in the first place. Fast forward to 2020, a global pandemic triggered lockdowns around the world. A lot of people lost their jobs and struggled to make ends meet, while billionaires, on the other hand, got richer as financial markets are thriving. This substantial concentration of power to create money and redistribute wealth as a select few people see fit has struck a nerve with many. One of them is an unknown person or group going by the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto. On 31st October 2008, Nakamoto published a paper in a cryptography mailing list titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. To support the creation of a digital currency with no central governing entities such as central banks, a radically different idea or technology was proposed in the paper, and that technology was blockchain. A few months later, Nakamoto released the first version of Bitcoin software, which is also the first blockchain. Here is the message Nakamoto left when they minted the first Bitcoin ever. If we were to discuss cryptocurrencies as the next evolution of money, we have to realize that it comes with its own unique problems. A frequently raised issue is that they have no valuation guarantee. Cryptocurrencies are not backed by a tangible commodity. Neither are fiat currencies, but they derive their value from the government that issued it. Cryptocurrencies rely on mathematical properties to earn trust, and its value is linked to its adoption by a growing base of users and merchants. So, if a large base of merchants decide to dump bitcoins and leave the system, its valuation will fall significantly. We will take a closer look at more technical problems once we discuss how blockchain works in the next few videos. To sum up, blockchain was created to support the existence of Bitcoin, and more broadly as an attempt to solve the problem of concentration of power in the current financial system. The goal of this video is not to bash the current system, but rather provide context on how a prevailing problem prompted the creation of Bitcoin and blockchain. The technology itself can be used in many applications beyond Bitcoin, and I will cover those in future videos. But for now, we are out of time. I hope you enjoyed this little history lesson. If you find this helpful, please hit subscribe. Thanks for watching. This is Praveen, and I'll see you again in the next video.